You got the promotion, the acceptance letter, the opportunity, and your first thought was, they made a mistake. When will they figure out I don't belong here? Why do you feel like a fraud when everyone else thinks you're capable? You're constantly waiting for someone to expose you, to point and say, "What are you doing here?" You downplay your achievements. You overprepare for everything because you're terrified of being exposed as incompetent. When someone compliments you, you deflect. "Oh, it was nothing. Anyone could have done it." Meanwhile, you watch people with half your qualifications walk in with confidence you'll never have. They're not smarter than you. They're not more talented. They're just sure of themselves. And you're paralyzed by the question, what if I'm not enough? It shows up everywhere. You don't apply for the job because I don't have enough experience. You don't speak up in meetings because someone smarter probably already thought of this. You don't pursue the relationship because why would they choose me? You're living small because you feel small. And you're exhausted from pretending you're confident when inside you're terrified. 3,000 years ago, Israel was oppressed by an enemy army called the Midianites. For 7 years, they'd raided, stolen crops, and terrorized God's people. The Israelites were hiding, hopeless, defeated. One young man named Gideon was thrashing wheat in a winepress, basically hiding in a hole, trying to salvage food without being seen. And that's when an angel showed up with the most ridiculous greeting ever. "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Gideon looked around. "Mighty warrior, me? I'm literally hiding in a hole," he responded. "If God is with us, why is all this happening? And why are you talking to me? My family is the weakest in our tribe, and I'm the least in my family. I'm nobody." But God didn't change his assessment. "Go in the strength you have. I'm sending you to save Israel." Gideon's response is painfully relatable. "How can I save Israel? I'm the weakest of the weak." He needed proof, multiple proofs. He asked God for a sign, then another sign, then another. God patiently gave him every sign he asked for because God knew Gideon's insecurity wasn't the problem. God didn't wait for Gideon to feel confident. He called him confident first. Mighty warrior wasn't a description of who Gideon was. It was a declaration of who God was making him. Then God did something strange. Gideon gathered 32,000 soldiers to fight an army of 135,000, already impossible odds, and God said, "You have too many, send most of them home." Gideon ended up with just 300 men. God intentionally made the odds worse. Why? So when they won, no one could say, "Gideon did this with his own strength." Gideon and his 300 defeated the massive army not with swords, but with trumpets, torches, and a battle cry. And Israel was free. Here's what Gideon's story shatters: the lie that you have to feel confident before you're confident. Gideon was terrified from start to finish. He doubted. He asked for signs. He was literally the least of his family. And God still called him a mighty warrior, not because of what Gideon felt, but because of what God saw. Your insecurity doesn't disqualify you. In fact, it might be exactly why God chose you. Because when you succeed despite feeling inadequate, everyone knows it wasn't just you. It was God in you. God reduced Gideon's army to 300 because confidence isn't about your strength, it's about trusting His. The world says fake it till you make it. God says, be weak so my strength shows up. That's not toxic positivity, that's tactical dependence. Imposter syndrome makes you think, I don't belong here. God says, you don't, but I do, and I'm with you. If you're struggling with feeling inadequate, here's what Gideon teaches. First, stop waiting to feel ready. Gideon never felt ready. He asked for multiple signs and still was afraid. But he moved anyway. Confidence isn't a feeling you wait for. It's a choice you make despite the fear. Take the next step even if your hands are shaking. Second, your weakness is your superpower. Gideon's small army wasn't a handicap. It was the point. When you succeed despite feeling inadequate, it's proof that something bigger is at work. Stop trying to be impressive. Let God work through your insufficiency. Third, remember what God calls you. The angel didn't say, "Hey, scared guy hiding in a hole." He said, "Mighty warrior." That's not flattery, that's identity. You're not defined by your fear. You're defined by what God says about you. Write it down, speak it out loud. I am chosen. I am equipped. I am enough because He is with me. Fourth, start where you are. Gideon used what he had, 300 men, some torches, and obedience. You don't need to be fully qualified. You need to be available. Use what's in your hand. God will multiply it. Gideon went from hiding in a hole to leading a nation. Not because he conquered his insecurity, but because he obeyed despite it. The same God who turned a coward into a mighty warrior is calling you right now. You're not an imposter. You're underestimating what God can do with someone willing to move afraid. The opportunity in front of you. It's not a mistake. You do belong, not because you're perfect, but because you're chosen. Stop hiding in the winepress. The battle is waiting, and you're more ready than you think. If this fired you up, subscribe for more confidence-building biblical truth. You're a mighty warrior. Start acting like it.